Flying Casual is brought to you by Patreon supporters Jory Webb, Nate Edison, and Wes Anderson. May the Force be with you.
You're listening to Flying Casual, a Star Wars podcast. Here's your host, Michael Canterbury.
Flying Casual coming in hot. Episode 18. There's no significance to that, but it just feels right.
18 weeks.
18 weeks on the air. Haven't been taken down yet. Not that we have any reason to, but...
We already said earlier this was going to be a G-rated podcast.
Oh, yeah, for the explicit nature of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the impressions, the explicit comments. I mean, it's getting a little risque here on the podcast, especially from Luke's side. Silent. He's like, I can't make
He
any more
censored
jokes
himself.
anymore. I mean, I know he's not silent.
I'm under a gag order.
I thought I had him muted on the soundboard again for 2 weeks in a row.
Womp womp.
Would have been especially embarrassing. Folks, welcome to Flying Casual. This is week 18 on the podcast. Still riding that high from The Mandalorian and The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know about you, Luke. I got to ask again. Have you made any time to watch The Rise of Skywalker? For a second time, let me full disclosure.
It will be a shock to all that I still have not seen it a second time.
What do you know?
That's okay, man. That's okay. I will say I'm going Tuesday night with my buddy Tom. If you're if you free some time up, maybe a 6 o'clock showing. Movies on me if you're available.
Is
All
that
right, I'll get back to you.
is that for like everybody listening? They can go to the movie
Yeah,
on
come
you?
on down to Ohio, the Marcus Theater. I'll take you all. Yeah,
It'll be
why
the
not?
day after this airs.
I mean, I checked the seats; they're all open, so
Can
we
you
could fit a
imagine?
whole theater.
A Flying Casual family showing.
Wow, that would be epic. How many people would show up though?
At least 3.
At least 3, yeah. Because I don't know if we have any local folks that actively participate, or
Yeah, I don't-
But I mean, I'm sure we have Ohio listeners, but who would show up?
Let us know.
Put out a call to action. Let's make it happen. That would be fun. Also a little intimidating, but not at all, right?
We're super welcoming, and people like us enough to
Yeah.
listen.
Well, yeah, I don't mean like, we are not intimidating to people. My God, if we are, there's a problem. But I mean, I would be intimidated to be around
no,
people.
they like us.
Oh, yeah, but what if they don't? What if they meet us and
That's
they're like,
all the-
Jesus, who
It's
are
actually
these people?
just all the haters are coming
Well,
out.
maybe
to
to
yell
throw
at
pies
us,
in our faces.
scream
Is
at
that a
us.
bad thing anymore? Does anybody do that?
I know. Wait,
Throw a
there's
pie in your face?
there's that game, right? Pie in face.
Yeah, sure.
Is pie in
it?
the face?
Was that-
Pie in
Was that like a
pie in
The
face.
Price is Right game? Or, I don't know.
No, you like
Yo, whippersnappers and their pies in the face.
no, you put whipped
Yeah.
cream on a spatula thing, and then you put your face in the hole, and
That's terrible.
you spin the Jack in the Box handle.
Phrasing. Whoa.
And it-
What are you describing here? Is this a game?
crap, this is a wrong podcast.
This is the wrong podcast for that.
Flying
now,
Casual,
there is
a
such
game
a thing.
show podcast.
Well, yeah, you might have been thinking of antiquing. Have you ever been, Luke? Have you ever been antiqued before?
I am afraid to find out.
It's messy. It's not what you think it is, but it does involve a lot of
Please.
flour.
Elaborate.
A lot of flour. It's just if someone's sleeping, you just you wake them up and you just throw some flour in their face.
What does that do?
They get antiqued. I don't
Why
know.
is that
Something we
called
did in high school
antiquing?
when people were coming and hanging out.
Talking about
sleepovers.
burning
Is
things.
it supposed to be like they're dusty? Is that why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it's something like that. But yeah,
You know,
kind of
normally
strange.
when people are sleeping and you want to prank them, you just like put their hand in hot water.
What? That seems like the most passive prank ever.
It's supposed to make them pee their pants.
Oh. Well, that's terrible.
It's not
Jeez,
worse than
the
throwing.
villain of the podcast has revealed herself.
Are you gonna wake up to a pound of flour dumped on you, or
Yeah, no,
to
and that's-
having you
that's-
peed your pants?
Well, they're both messy, equally, I think, right?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I've never had to get flour off carpet, so I have no idea. That could probably be pretty problematic. who knows? I don't even know how I got down this tangent, but so still riding the high of The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian. And I will be seeing it for my third time this Tuesday, hopefully, if all works out. And maybe Luke will too, and maybe Holly will too if she's interested. Or are you Star Warsed out now?
I will be at home watching the Clone Wars.
Okay, perfect. Because, full disclosure, there was a moment the other night while watching the Clone Wars. I said, how about another one? And you said, I don't know. I'm kind of getting burnt out. And I was like, whoa.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I wish I had the air horn now at this point. Because, yeah, that's what you said.
I didn't say.
I had to tell the listeners.
I didn't say that. And before I get a bunch of hate,
Yep.
those were not my words.
She's a shill. She's a poser. Whatever people are saying.
I actually came on this podcast to get famous.
Oh, me
Not
too.
because I
yeah,
care about
that's the
Star
only
Wars.
reason I do this.
I actually know nothing about Star Wars.
God.
Don't.
Wait, we're not famous?
Oh, shoot.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I'm just going to shut it down then.
Close it.
But so there isn't a whole lot going on right now in the Star Wars world. I mean, the Rise of Skywalker is still set to probably make, over $1 billion here in the next couple weeks. Mandalorian isn't coming out, for another 10 months, second season. But we do have some comics coming out and stuff, and we did get a chance to read the latest in the main Star Wars line, which is taking place between Episode 5 and Episode 6, and I'll say off the bat, pretty interesting. Interesting stuff. So we're going to get to that here in a second, and, I do have some more thoughts about The Rise of Skywalker that I want to get out and see what you guys think. Yeah, Holly has a hand raised in the studio.
Something?
Yeah.
Because
You don't have to raise your hand, you know that. You can just interject.
Okay. I'm interjecting.
Okay.
Okay. I just have to say something because I wanted to start this
Yeah, come
podcast
on.
off with a little positivity. Not that we're not positive.
Was it not positive?
No, it is positive.
Okay.
But you were bringing up The Rise of Skywalker again.
Yes.
It made me
Yep.
think about something that happened today. Because I know on previous podcasts we've been having a lot of discussions about like the toxicity of the Star
Yes.
Wars fandom.
Come on.
And how there's been a bunch of stuff going on with the fans and the
Yeah.
cast and other
Yeah.
members who have been involved.
Oh, you mean John Boyega?
Well, also that, which
Yeah.
we don't have to talk about
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think that we've seen a lot of negativity coming from everywhere regarding Star Wars. But today I was wearing my Her
Come on.
Universe Star Wars sweatshirt.
Come on.
One of the new ones that Ashley Eckstein released. And I was at Home Goods.
Yeah.
And this
Classic Holly move.
this woman and her two daughters came up to me and she said, "Excuse me," I had a vest on. She's also classic me.
Holly. Yeah.
She said, "Excuse me, is that a
She's
Star
like,
Wars?"
"Excuse me, are you from Maine?" And you're like, "Yeah, I am." Yeah.
What gave it away?
Yeah.
My moose antlers
Your
or
moose-
like
or
my
my-
pet lobster?
Or the vest when it's 20 degrees
Yeah,
out.
well, maybe. Okay, actually, it was probably like the Birkenstocks and the tie-dye shirt.
Probably,
But
wow,
okay,
yeah.
anyway. And she was like, "Is that a Star Wars shirt?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And she like had her two daughters with her, and they were younger. And she was like, "Yeah, are you a big Star Wars fan?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah, I
Should've
like
said,
it."
"Nah."
Star Wars.
That would have been funny. I was like, "Wait, am I? Oh no, I'm not a nerd." We got to play with people next time.
Oh yeah, and pretend we don't actually know what Star Wars is.
Exactly. I got
and-
this at a thrift store. Yeah.
And this happens all the time because we went bowling, and the people next to us were like,
Yeah.
I guess we were Star Wars stuff a lot. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But this is going somewhere, I promise.
Yes.
Okay, so then this woman and her two daughters, she was like, "Oh, did you see the new movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Not twice."
And you didn't know
In
how
her
she
2
was
days in a
going
row.
to approach it, right?
But then she started talking about how much she loved it
Loved
and how
it.
entertaining it was and how she grew up with Star Wars and
Yeah.
her kids grew up with the prequels and that's what they got them into Star Wars.
Yeah.
And how she liked The Rise of Skywalker because she had taken her daughters to see The Last Jedi and she said that they were terrified.
Yeah, it's
It
a
was
little dark.
scary, dark movie.
Yeah.
And she said that her family really liked The Rise of Skywalker. She felt like it answered all of her questions. She felt like she got closure for the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And she said it was really fun for her whole family to go together and watch it as a family. And I thought that was really cool. The stranger coming up in a store just talking about Star Wars and how what it means to her family and how much she liked it.
And it's fascinating because we don't have those interactions a lot. I mean, you and I, and even Luke's not taking his kids to see Star Wars right now. I mean, he's just kind of introducing them to some of the cartoons and some of the droids and stuff. So a lot of us aren't having the interactions of, hey, I took my kids to see it, and you know what? The Last Jedi was a little dark for them. And I can see that. That's not a discussion point that you hear a lot of people making. You just hear a ton of like really, upset, fans saying like, oh, it's whatever. It's SJW or whatever the hell they're saying about stuff. But you don't hear them say, hey, it's a little dark for kids. And I can see parts of that, especially with Snoke and some of that kind of darker scenes.
But so I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was a really cool perspective to have, because I think that when we get so like into analyzing Star Wars and what it means for like the Star Wars going forward and like what it means for any new comics that would come out or things that have happened in the past, we kind of, I think sometimes can tend to overanalyze it and we kind of lose sight of what it actually is when in reality it's just meant to be a movie to be enjoyed with your friends and your family and by yourself. Yeah. So I thought that was like a really cool thing to happen.
Absolutely. Especially this last one. I mean, it was, a lot of fun, a lot of action. It didn't go too deep with messages and I totally get that. And she very clearly wasn't like a deep and sweaty fan. She's like, hey, I've seen them all. I'm a fan. Couldn't tell you what the Darksaber is, but
she did, however, say, but that Jar Jar Binks, I hated
She
him.
could not stand Jar Jar. And you know what? That's okay. It's not for everyone.
It
That's
was
why
really
I had
cool,
to interject.
though.
It's not for kids. It's for kids. It wasn't meant for adults. But no, that's you're going to see more of those interactions. You're going to see more people talking about it, and it ended on a nice, positive, fun note. And some people liked that. Some people didn't. But most casual fans tended to enjoy it, which is great. So that was an awesome interaction, Holly.
Yeah, I thought so.
You need to share more of those. Other things going on. Let's talk about some housekeeping stuff, right? So the something really awesome happened recently on the Patreon page. We now have Wes, Nate, and Jory supporting the podcast on Patreon.
Yes, can we get a round of applause?
I could not thank them enough for that. That is epic, and I want to keep it coming. What's great is that 2 of them are eligible for. Wait, no, all of them are eligible for the trivia trials. I cannot wait. We're gonna get our bearings straight and get a little in-house production of the trivia trials, and I'm gonna reach out to those guys and say, "Who's down? You're all eligible. Who's game?" So I'm really excited for that. We're going to figure all that out, but expect that here in the weeks to come. So super excited. Yeah.
Did I tell you guys that I wrote a trivia question the other night?
You have been writing trivia questions. I was just like, that's a great trivia question. Let me write it down. Some of them are really deep and sweaty, though.
Are they?
Some of them, yeah.
I don't think that anything coming from me regarding Star Wars could be considered like deep and sweaty.
I don't know. You don't put enough faith in yourself.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Guys, we'll see. Well, Luke can't know any of them because it's probably going to be a question that he's going to be asked.
Here's the thing. He's the Alex Damon of flying casual.
Yeah.
Okay? There isn't a question that he wouldn't get. So, I mean, you can tell him right now, and it ain't going to matter because he's going to get it. Luke may miss one question like he did in his last
I don't think so.
appearance.
I think that he's going to nail them.
Phrasing. Yeah. I mean, there aren't going to be as many softballs, so we're going to see. But so expect the trivia trials to make a comeback here. It's going to be really exciting. But I just wanted to, give those guys a shout out because it's overwhelming. Just that kind of support going, spending your hard-earned money on, on something like Flying Casual and just saying, hey, I appreciate what you do. That's awesome. I don't even have words for it. It just blows my mind. But thank you guys so much. You're going to be hearing from me again soon. We're going to get all the scheduling stuff worked out. And a couple of them, Jory and Nate, are eligible for our monthly Jedi Knight podcast. So that's going to be fun having those guys actually on the podcast, a nice big think tank, a little Flying Casual think tank to talk about whatever they want to talk about. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so much fun. So the Patreon, hey, it's out there, and go check that out and join those guys and find the tier that works for you. And if there isn't one, then that's totally fine. Keep listening and keep contributing to whatever, the community, the group, whatever it is that you can do. Also, Holly, an announcement from you.
From me. An announcement.
The book reader. No, I'm a book reader, but you are a book reader.
Yes.
Shredding books left and right.
But not actually.
Yes, you are. And so it frustrated me for I don't know how many months now. I was like, I have all these books, a lot of which I've read. why aren't you reading them? You love Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You love books.
Yeah.
Why not Star Wars books?
Yeah. So then I decided, why not a book club?
Why not a book club? Why not put it on Patreon, right?
And yeah.
Are we
take
just
it-
flailing our hands here? And Luke's like, what the hell's going on over there? We're just, no.
I mean, this is what Michael likes to refer to as aggressive negotiations.
Well, that's a lot of hand
flailing.
Yeah. It looks like we're upset.
And that we're talking about something super important, which we are.
Which we are. Books are important.
Books are important. So anyway, do you want to say what the name of it's going to be?
Well, it's your project, So what can we expect? What's the title of it? What's the first book?
Yeah. So it's just going to be every month I'm going to announce what book we're going to be reading, and it's going to be really fun. And then once the book is done, at the end of the month, I'm going to do some sort of roundtable discussion that's going to be recorded, and then it's going to be posted on Patreon.
Yeah.
Just about the general thoughts of the book, how it fits in with what we've seen in the movies, how it fits in with your expectations, what you wanted, what you liked, what you didn't like, what I liked, what I didn't like.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be really cool. And so this month of January, which I'll post this on Instagram and Facebook too, so everyone knows.
Yeah.
We're going to be starting with Phasma.
That's one that surprised me. I'm excited to hear what you and the company have to say about
The
it.
company. Yes. Luke,
Yeah.
have you read Phasma?
No, that's perfect because that's one of the ones I've been meaning to get
See?
to. That I haven't read.
It was strategic. It was to get Luke involved as well. Which one hasn't he read of the new canon? We're going to have to go back a little bit. But a surprising book. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I went in with very low expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Good. I mean, there we
Luke
have it.
sounds like he's got Claude over there on the other end. Luke.
Yeah, that's
That was
dog
hysterical.
version of Claude.
Oh, I think Claude approves of the choice of Phasma, Holly. So, I mean, you want to reveal the title?
Do you want to reveal the title?
I would gladly. I mean, I can do it for you, I guess. If you forget the title, that's fine too. Maybe it's the Margarita. It could
No,
be.
actually, we came up with the title. Michael came up with the title
Well,
last night at like 11:30.
I don't want to take all the credit here, but okay. Holly's Hyperspace Happy Hour.
There it is.
Now, don't get it confused with 4-H, okay?
It's
Because
only 3.
Holly's
Oh.
Hyperspace Happy
It's actually 4.
Hour. Silent H there. But, so, no, 4-H, right? But do not be confused.
This is not for animals.
This, well, I mean, we got a couple scoundrels here. You can consider them animals, but I mean, this is gonna be far from. I mean, it's on Patreon. There may be a little cursing. There may be some drinking. You know, there's typically. I mean, we all have a beverage right now.
I mean,
but
happy hour is literally in the name.
it's in the name.
I expect
Yeah.
some good book and wine pairings.
Yes, a nice black box. I'm talking a black box an episode. This isn't even, a glass of the black box.
And you
the
mean
whole
black box wine, not black box figures.
Cards Against Humanity.
Oh.
Or Black Series
Oh, right,
figures.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's close enough. You're not a collector of them. I don't expect
I'm
you to
not.
know what they are.
I did buy one.
You did. That was a great gift, by the way.
Yeah.
But that was the one for me, right? You're not talking about, you have a hidden stash somewhere?
My stash that you'll never
Oh,
find.
well, I will ransack it and take everything I don't have. So, so that's really exciting. But like I said, there's going to be some good times on there. So
And
if you want to join the happy hour, I mean, for $2 a month, Holly, you can, I mean, you can participate, get in there. I would love to do a live discussion either on Discord or, something like that to where people can participate or, do the YouTube live thing and give people, the code to get into that so they can actually participate and get their thoughts
we could
out.
do that.
Yeah.
We could see, we can leave it up to the patrons too.
Yeah,
How they want
absolutely.
to do it because we're for sure doing it. So if they want to be involved and active in that discussion when we have that book club, then absolutely. And I know that some people aren't able to donate to the Patreon, so I don't want that to discourage people from reading the books.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to record the discussions that we have regarding the books in the book club with the group doing it. But I don't want to discourage people from also reading the books at the same time that we are and maybe even talking about it in the group. I don't see why. I mean, by all means, that's what the group is for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I definitely want to make it a point. The discussion is going to be a Patreon exclusive, but that doesn't mean that you're not invited to read the book with us and also have other conversations about the book.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it may turn into we release the actual episode itself as an episode of Flying Casual, but the participation itself in that will be left to, I think that might be the way it goes. We got still figuring it out though. But Holly's just like, I want to do it. This is what I'm doing. I said, I have a whole library, so go with it and just let me engineer the thing. Hosting isn't my thing. I just don't think I'm good at hosting. I love engineering. As many Sith plots as I run against, I love putting things together. Just let me switch cameras.
Like
just let me
Mr.
do.
Fix
Can I
It.
do something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's where it's at. I cannot wait. That's going to be so exciting. Can I put my thoughts in there as well? Since I've read a lot of these, you think I can? No,
I
can't
guess so.
participate. We'll see. Depends on how hammered I am. Right?
We'll let him participate.
Yeah, as long as I can switch the cameras, then we're
That's
good
right.
to go. So anything else that I'm forgetting housekeeping wise?
Luke, do you have anything?
Luke, any updates from the Elder One? Not to be confused with the Elder Wand.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
No, I'm taking it all in. It all sounds great. Super excited. I've been mostly a spectator so far because I was deeply engaged petting my cat in her preferred manner so that she wouldn't become a contributor to the podcast. But she's scurried off now, so
no, I wanted to get
I have no other obligations.
Luke has a beautiful black cat. Luke, what's the cat's name?
Moose.
Oh
Miss
my
Moose.
gosh. I love
It's
it.
adorable.
I love it.
She's a beautiful black cat. I love cats. Love kitties. Almost want one, but we'll see. We'll see. One day may have I don't know. I want to call one Kylo.
I mean,
I just kind of do. A black one named Kylo. I kind of want to do it. And then when he's good, he can be
said-
Ben. When he's bad, he can be Kylo.
Oh my gosh. You did say
Yeah.
in front of multiple people on New Year's Eve that you were getting a cat.
Oh yeah, I said
On New Year's
I
Day.
was going to the shelter the next day, but I didn't.
Yes, and my friend texted me and said, "Do you have a cat yet?"
Nope. Negative. No cat. Maybe
Kylo.
one day. Guys, well let's if we can sink our teeth into the comic issue number 1 of the new Star Wars line. So when Star Wars originally told us that they were going to stop with their main line, they were kind of just JK. It was really just, between episodes 4 and 5, that's where that issue lied. And now we're going from 5 to 6. So a lot of fascinating potential here. Luke loses his hand. Where does that put him mentally? He just learned that Vader's his father. Where does that put him mentally? How does Vader respond to this interaction? Did he think it was going to go a different way? How is he going to, think about the Emperor now? Are we going to see some betrayal? Maybe some actions that he's taking, without the Emperor knowing? There was some of that stuff in Legends, and there's elements of it in the Vader comic line, the most recent one, right after episode 3. But it'll be really fascinating later down this run to see where Vader's head is, because he turns on the Emperor pretty quick there. So we'll see if those thoughts have been, bedding themselves for a while. But Luke, I want to go to you because Holly and I just can't shut up.
What is wrong with us?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. We haven't got to talk to anybody today. I don't know what we're like. Hey, Luke, human being, let's talk. But what did you think, man? Did you go in having a bunch of expectations? This was going to fill in a lot of. This is only issue 1, but did you think it was going to? Are we going to see any big issues that our heroes are addressing, or what were you expecting going into this?
There seems to be a lot of potential based off this first issue, and just thinking about the space in between Empire and Return of the Jedi. And I think we're going to go on a pretty solid journey with Luke through this line, in that he's starting off. The comics have done a good job of kind of showing Luke in real moments of struggle and doubt. I know in the first line between New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, there was a good amount of that, like when he first ran up against Vader, and how powerful Vader was. And now, he's shown right after he gets his hand cut off, and the reveal that Vader's his father in Bespin, and that's rocked his world. I love that it talks about, and this is something we talked about last episode, talking about Rise of Skywalker. The comic book has Luke thinking about how Ben and Yoda lied to him, or withheld the truth about his father, and how much that hurts them. And that's something we talked about in our Rise of Skywalker discussion about why he would end up doing the same thing to Rey about knowing who she is. So there's really a really great path that could be taken, showing Luke going from this person who's had this huge defeat, lost his hand, lost his lightsaber, to this confident, Jedi that we see walk up to Jabba's palace and, rescue Han. So I think that's what the main sort of arc is really going to be all about. And I think that is really fascinating. And one little side note, it kept showing over and over again. There were several panes or frames of the comic showing his hand being severed.
Yeah.
And the hand and the lightsaber falling away.
Yeah.
And there's all these rumors I've heard that there was an initial cut of The Force Awakens that also included those images.
Yep.
And so I wonder too if this series might delve into how Maz ends up with the lightsaber and sort of the lightsaber's journey.
Yeah.
A little bit, because there's that line in Force Awakens. Han says to her, how did you get the lightsaber? And she says, "Oh, it's a story for another time." And since 2015, we've all been wondering when that time would be that we would get that story. So
absolutely,
that'd be a cool little thing if they threw that in there.
Oh my god, yeah, because I actually hadn't even thought about that was supposedly an original. I don't know what JJ was gonna do with it. I mean, it kind of seems like it had nothing to do with Palpatine, but I don't know. Yeah, some bigger storyline there. Maybe it was just them showing the journey of the hand down the tube or whatever, and someone finds it, and then we kind of play back how Maz found it. But yeah, maybe we will finally learn that.
Because they say, then they have that one frame or panel, I don't know what it's called in the comic, where he makes it a point to say, "I don't have my lightsaber."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I noticed that too, and I thought that when I read, like, after we saw 3 frames of him, like, replaying that cut in his mind, and then he makes it a point to be like, "Man, I don't have my lightsaber anymore."
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, are we going to learn?
Yeah.
Because that's something that wasn't answered in The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah, and I imagine, I mean, he's learned some stuff about the Force, and was it his right hand? I don't even remember what hand it was. Right, so it's like,
it's right.
That's his predominant lightsaber hand. He's probably thinking, well, how am I going to be some epic warrior now? Like, I don't even have a hand. But maybe he's not aware that there's technology that can address that. I don't know. But, I mean, who knows? He doesn't understand the Force a lot, but maybe he thought there was going to be bigger implications for losing that hand in his, supposed journey to becoming a Jedi. But, yeah, no, they were definitely making a point, hey, don't forget Luke lost his hand. It's bothering him a lot. So, yeah, that was fascinating. Holly, what about you? What stuck out to you in this issue? We can go through a little more of it, but what really stuck out to you?
For me, I did notice what Luke was saying about how they kept showing that cut over and over again. But also, I think maybe this is just me not having all of this information. I didn't know anything about Poe's family, and I realize now that I guess there was a comic line that kind of discussed this. I was unaware of that until I just read this comic tonight. But I don't know. I was like really interested to learn that like his parents were both in the rebellion and with Leia, and they have connections and ties to both Luke and Leia separately, and then later Poe finds his way into that too. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought all of that was kind of fascinating too, and I didn't realize that there were other comics about that, but I'll have to look into those.
I mean, you see why she expects so much of him. Like, he had really, epic parents who were, great warriors and leaders. Yeah. And so she expects a lot of them, and there's more history there that I'm not even totally familiar with either. That's we probably will have to get into the Poe Dameron line. I don't even know if I haven't read an issue of it, so I don't know if it goes back to any of that or not, but Shattered Empire touched on it a little bit there towards the end with his parents and the Force tree, and they planted it near their home and all that. So people are like, "Is Poe Force sensitive?" There's a whole thing there. But yeah, seeing his parents there, I thought was really cool.
Something else that I asked, and I think I asked you this when I read the comic. I don't know, Luke, if you have anything that you noticed about this or to say or add to this, but there was that one ship that was going out of range from the Empire when they were, they kind of ambushed all the Resistance flyers. And he was about to jump into hyperspace and get away. And then the one who was it, the general, or she was like, move out of my way, I'll take him down. And they all were like, you can't do that. And then the guy was like, no, something remarkable is about to happen. Just stand back and watch it happen. And she used one shot and she got this one ship. And I asked Michael, I was like, so does she have like the Force and like she guided this? Because they were like, or is she just really good at what she does?
I mean, they made it a point. Yeah, she said, put this weapon on manual override. I'm going to take it out in one shot.
Yeah.
And like, you're nuts. Like, put it on the automatic, whatever. It's much more accurate. And it's almost like she has something to prove. I mean, she knows that someone brought down the Death Star with one shot, and Vader's seeking that person out. And she wants to really stand out, it seems. But, yeah, how do you do that? When computers are doing it almost for everyone, could she be Force sensitive? That would be crazy. I mean, Luke, do we think some, commander in the Empire there has any Force abilities? It's totally possible, right?
Yeah, it's a great call out of that moment. I had the same thought about what that means, and it definitely, anyone who's watched Star Wars knows what thoughts that could conjure in somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Because like you said, not using automatic targeting is like original Star Wars, connection to the Force. So it's an easy connection to make, and I think the authors knew that. So it's either a misdirection and letting us think for a while, maybe this is a Force sensitive Imperial officer for a few issues before it kind of goes a different route.
Yeah.
Or there is something there, with that, and maybe she does have a little bit of Force abilities, and it also showed her interaction with Vader, and he mentioned her prior failures. So I wonder maybe if she was this maybe Force sensitive, entity that Vader was trying to cultivate, sort of like Count Dooku with Asajj Ventress, in the way that like Asajj wasn't like really his apprentice, but this like tool who was Force sensitive he could use and send around, and maybe Vader was using this Sarah or Shara, I can't remember
Zara,
the name.
I think is how we were thinking it was pronounced.
He was using her in that way, and that's what some of these prior failures are about. Now he's like, okay, this isn't going to work out using it in this way, but you could probably make a good commander on a Star Destroyer, so go do that instead,
Yeah. I was shocked that he didn't force choke her out. I'll be honest. She's like, I have to go update someone. I'm like, she's dead. But he doesn't. He just says he uses the reverse Yoda. You either, he says you succeed or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the reverse, but Yoda
it was
says
very
you
similar.
do or not try. Yeah, they're definitely harking back on that, but somewhat lenient with her. Like, don't fail me again, this and that. But it's like, you've choked out commanders for less, and you're talking about the rebellion. Like, you had a chance to wipe them out here. So it's also really, in that moment, you don't realize how small the rebellion was in that moment. A lot of them were destroyed in that, I don't know if it was an ambush or whatever. But it brought me back to the Resistance, and they're on the Falcon as well. And Lando makes a point to say in this one, hey, we're pretty much all that's left here. I was, wow, they really weren't a lot of them left. But yeah, that Force sensitive commander, that could, who knows? I mean, we really don't see a lot of Force sensitive people the people on the Empire side, other than Vader and the Emperor. And I would think that maybe the Emperor especially would want to kind of squash that, but he's got Inquisitors out there and all this stuff seeking out Jedi. So who knows? But like Luke said, maybe she's done something in the past and showed her hand. She's Force sensitive, and is she a tool for Vader now? Who knows? Or an assassin or whatever. One thing I thought was really fascinating. We don't have to rehash the whole thing, but you guys mentioned Luke's kind of reactions with his hand. I was surprised that there was some anger there, obviously, but it was like, I'm not going to become a Jedi, this and that. It wasn't, Ben, you lied to me. Like, Yoda, you lied to me. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of that, and maybe they just don't want to touch too much on that because You know, he kind of confronts them later in the movies, but he's so upset. He's like, I'm not gonna become a Jedi. I only remember who he's talking to in the moment. R2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I guess I'm not gonna become a Jedi, but the darkness that he I mean, the kid's going down the dark side. Like, and that's what I think this comic's going to do a good job of, because we're led to believe that there's the potential that he goes down the dark side, but it doesn't really, you don't really get a lot of that in the movies.
He recognizes it in this comic too.
He does. Luke, you were going to say?
Yeah, some irony about that scene. You're right that he is talking to R2 there, and sort of a joke of, you know, Star Wars fans is that R2 sort of knows everything. He's been there from the beginning, and he's never had his memory wiped. There's that very specific line in Revenge of the Sith that 3PO's memory is wiped.
Yep.
But there's no such mention of R2. So Luke is there venting that Ben and Yoda, you know, didn't tell him the truth, and he's venting to R2.
Yeah.
He's in R2's presence, and R2 also knows
he does
who Anakin is, you know, so or who Vader is, you know, so it's like this. I don't know if they did that on purpose. That's kind of like a couple layers deep to think about it that way. But I don't know. Maybe the authors of the comic were thinking that same thing. Like, look, here he is venting to R2. Who a lot of people I've heard say, like, well, why didn't he tell Luke all along, anyways? But you could also stretch it to say, like, does R2 know who Vader is?
Yeah.
He goes. I'm trying to think, like, end of Revenge of the Sith. He's with Padme and like Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And Yoda, I think. So maybe he doesn't quite know all the truth about Vader.
Remember when they're at Padme's in Revenge of the Sith, and he goes off and he says, he beeps something, and C-3PO says, oh, he's under a lot of stress right now, or something like that. So he recognizes there's something going on. But yeah, I don't think he doesn't see him get cut up. I mean, they're on Mustafar. Is he in Padme's ship? I would assume.
I think
so.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he's not even fully aware. He just thinks Anakin died.
Yeah, maybe he does think he's dead, and so he doesn't realize Vader. So I guess that line of thought, you know, we can't blame R2 for not telling Luke, because maybe he didn't know who Vader was, that Anakin became Vader and assumed he was dead.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like what Obi-Wan probably assumed he was going to die as he walked away from him on Mustafar.
Well, there's multiple times, though, in Star Wars where I'm just like, damn it, R2, just explain what's going on and we could de-escalate this situation. But he never does. So
but
maybe,
poor R2 having to walk around with everybody's secrets.
He does.
And he's such a good confidant.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't spill people's secrets unless he thinks it's going to actually be helpful.
I mean, he's just the opposite of C-3PO, right? They're a nice balance there. That C-3PO would tell everyone everything, and he does often.
And that's intentional.
It is. It is.
Having them balance each other out.
Yep. No, absolutely.
I don't know. Luke, I really liked that a lot, because I didn't even think about that when I was reading the comics. But now that you say it, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's witnessing Luke, you know, destroying TIE fighters.
But also, if we want
his mind.
If you want to get a little bit deeper, then like
phrasing.
R2, then like R2 being like just a droid.
Yes.
I don't know. Like, maybe it's just a part of Luke's test that he has to go through. R2 knows that he can't come and get in the middle of that and change things. He just has to take a step back and let it happen.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, how much can he intervene? He's a droid.
And you know what? We heard never underestimate a droid.
They always do, though.
Unfortunately.
Even as much as R2 has saved the day, he's still dismissed at times.
Poor R2.
Just like, not as much as C-3PO. But I don't know. I think it's great. There were shades of Anakin there in that moment. Why didn't you tell me? And it just, I don't know. I thought this is going to do a really good job of showing some of these darker tendencies and Luke having to overcome them to get to a point where when, you know, Obi-Wan and Yoda say, you got to destroy him. And he says, I can't do that. He's my father. There's going to be some processing here, and he's every time he thinks something, his father and his image and saying it's your destiny, like pop up. You know, when he's about to do something, he goes down and he gets on the blaster and he's trying to work it, and he gets flashbacks again. But that anger in that moment, thinking about Yoda and Ben lying to him, causes him to go down the dark path. It's almost a Rey moment with her Force lightning and the Rise of Skywalker, right? That he uses his mind to move dozens of TIE fighters. He moves them all to hit each other or something, or throws them off or whatever, and we don't see anything like that from him. We saw him on Hoth. Yeah, he picked up the lightsaber. Nothing like that, though. These comics are awesome in that they can kind of expand upon that potential. Yeah.
But you know what? I think there's a few different things that make the way that Luke handles his anger very different from the way that we see Anakin handle his. Because Anakin immediately turns around and blames everybody else.
Well.
And then he lashes out at the people who are closest to him when he's angry. In that moment in this comic, Luke very easily could have lashed out at Lando. He could have lashed out at Leia or Chewie, and he didn't.
He didn't.
He got upset with himself first, and then he lashed out at, or I guess took it out on the task that he was doing, which happened to be getting rid of these TIE fighters.
But you got to remember, though, and I think they're gonna show this more. Now with the information that Vader is his father, he sees what he could become, and the whole dark cave moment is going to replay in his mind to remind himself that's what that moment meant. That's what I could become. And with that information, he now knows it's a real possibility. So Anakin didn't have that.
That's true.
You know, Anakin just knows pain. He just knows suffering. He doesn't necessarily see what he could become. Now he does, Luke, right? In the Clone Wars, we won't spoil too much for Holly. He sees what he can become. But then again, yet there's another mind wiped. So Holly will tease you with that. Yeah, the future was shown to Anakin and others, but they didn't get out.
Yeah, it's a great reference there, Holly. You'll enjoy that when you get to it.
I'm excited.
One of the other things that really struck me as I was reading it is this weird connection. I don't always want to be the guy who's bringing up The Last Jedi every time, but I'm going to do it again.
I love it.
I was left thinking about The Last Jedi and kind of the fan reaction to Luke, because I think that's the biggest controversy of that in the fandom is whether or not you like, what Luke was and the character arc that he underwent in that movie. And to me, this comic had like something for the people who wanted to see this like all powerful to finish and doing all these wild things. And at the same time, had something for the people who like that even the great Luke Skywalker could be, troubled and lose some faith and think that the galaxy didn't need him, and the best thing for him to do was to be away, be absent. There's that part we've alluded to where he sort of takes out the TIE fighters with the Force, that squadron of TIE fighters that's chasing them, because he can't operate the gun very well because he's still missing a hand. And that's like a moment like, that everyone who wants Luke to be, an amazing Jedi doing crazy stuff in The Last Jedi, that's like that kind of moment. But then at the same time, at the end of the comic, he's left wondering if he can even be a Jedi, if he's really even made out for it, because of the struggles he had. He lost, defeated by Vader, hand chopped off, lost his lightsaber, the biggest sort of physical connection to being a Jedi, having the weapon of a Jedi. So for me, that it struck me that I was like, this has both the things that I think a lot of the Last Jedi detractors are missing in Luke. And also the things that the people who really enjoy the complexity of The Last Jedi and the sort of the emotional beats that the characters go through.
I think that's
Yeah.
a really
It
great
had it both.
observation.
It absolutely did. And Luke, you just kind of stirred my memory there. Do you recall a certain scene, I think, for The Empire Strikes Back that was removed from the film of Luke Skywalker creating his green lightsaber? Is that something that they will give us back in this comic book?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm not really good at all like the deleted scenes from the original trilogy, but yeah, I think I want to say there was stuff, yeah, for Return of the Jedi about that. And I don't know if it's on any of the Blu-rays or any of the DVD releases somewhere, if any of that footage was ever released. But yeah, and I've definitely heard it was at one point in the movie, and some of those scenes were shot.
I feel like
Yeah,
that's
Thank you.
prime. Yeah, I feel like that's like a huge arc that we need to see. And him, I mean, we come to episode 6. He walks into Jabba's palace and says, "I'm a Jedi Knight." Okay, well, show us you creating your green lightsaber. Show us the moment where Luke believes I am a Jedi, because he does. He says it in Yoda's in his hut. He says, "You're not a Jedi yet." So I would love to see that. I think they kind of took that from us. I'd love to see it come back and be put on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of what this first issue foreshadows for the journey that it's going to take with Luke is perhaps a severing in his mind between the lightsaber and what it means to be a Jedi. Because I think when it's presented to him in A New Hope, this is the weapon of a Jedi. This is your father's. He would have wanted you to have it.
Yeah.
And the time was great. It is so much the symbol of what it means to be a Jedi, and sort of some of the comments he's making in this issue are, to me, saying like, well, I've lost the weapon of a Jedi, so how can I be a Jedi now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when he walks into Jabba's palace, he has R2 stashed, the lightsaber away if he would need it.
Yeah.
But he walked fully confident that he could handle the situation largely without it.
Yeah.
So it will be kind of, I need to create a lightsaber that is the weapon of a Jedi. I need that for certain situations, but I think a lot of it will be in this comic run of him sort of like saying that there's more to a Jedi than running around with a lightsaber.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's going to be cool maybe seeing him connect with Yoda, or not Yoda. Man, I mean, maybe that would be crazy because Yoda's still alive at this point. That actually would be crazy. That would be a lot of Rebels connections and Yoda presenting himself to Luke while still alive. That would be crazy. But he mentioned specifically, I tried to connect with Ben, and I couldn't. He didn't want to, or something like that. And I think that's when he said, like, I think he doesn't want me, or him and Yoda don't want me anymore. But maybe we'll see more of those moments, and him trying to connect with them, and why can't he, or does he at all? But I don't know. I want to see him creating the green lightsaber. I think that'd be freaking awesome. What else about this issue? That where there was a little bit of Vader, which was cool, and I think he said what was really fascinating. I mean, we know that he doesn't really pick up on Leia until 6, but he says, "Destroy Organa. I don't care. You blow him to hell, but there's one person on there that is important." And that's, once again showing, and it still blows me away that he has no idea. He has no idea. Is that, why is it so subdued? If Luke, could be, his Force sense, shown like a bright star in the Force, why doesn't Leia? Aren't they equals? I mean, we know Yoda wanted to train her. She was ready. She was the one. She was the chosen, or not the chosen one. Well, maybe they thought at the time.
Knows.
But like, right? Like it feels conflicting to me. Like, what is it about Leia that her strength in the Force is so subdued? Luke, do you ever think about that?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff around the birth of Luke and Leia, and you have to sort of, I don't know, not be too technical about it, I think, because I don't think there's any indication explicitly in like Revenge of the Sith when Padme tells him, "I'm pregnant," I don't think there's ever an acknowledgement that it's twins. So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like Anakin doesn't know there's more than one. So when he finds out Luke is his son, he doesn't immediately think, where's the other one?
Yeah.
Where's the twin? But at the same time, you would think with his Force abilities, he would maybe sense that there were twins in her, in her uterus, like
Yeah.
while she's pregnant. So some of this stuff, just to like,
Yeah.
should try to get too technical about it in your head, you kind of probably drive yourself insane.
That's true.
And so, yeah, it's only really that I think we have to stick with, he didn't know Leia was who she is until that moment when he kind of like probes it out of Luke's mind on the Death Star in Return of the Jedi and says, sister.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of revealed to him there when Luke's vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then we have to, I guess, just, forget all the other things that make us think like, why wouldn't he have known anything about that before? It's weird.
And obviously, I mean, in episode 6, they in 5, I don't think they had any idea what they were going to make Leia. She wasn't going to be, Luke's sister. So there's not a lot of signs of it. And yeah, I guess I never even thought about, like, how could Anakin not have sensed two beings there? Was that just destiny and you don't want to, like, the Force didn't want to reveal that to him in that moment? I don't know. It's interesting, like, nitpicky stuff that goes through my mind all the time, but I never even thought of that.
Yeah, just general with like Star Wars mythology, to reference sort of another big fantasy series I'm into. It's not like George was writing for decades back history for all this stuff. Like, I mean, to some degree, he had a lot of story ideas and notes for a long time. But like, if you compare it to, Tolkien's Middle Earth, Tolkien was in the trenches in World War I, like writing poetry about this fictional world and writing notes about this fictional world, and developed like an entire mythology, backstory, millennia's long history of this universe before his first book is published within it. Whereas George is like, has all these notes, wants to make a movie, gets the movie made, and doesn't know if the movie will, one, be a success, or if there will be multiple movies ever made in this universe. And so he's making up a lot of it as he goes along and changes it. And then where you get like, as nerdy as we do, as canon junkie as we are about it, and then try to pick all the pieces together. And there's obviously massive holes within certain parts of it.
Yeah.
It's just like the fun of it. You just have to take it as it is and then make it work in your head, however it works.
Yeah.
I want to take what Luke just said and put it on a flyer and
Wow.
send it to every Star Wars fan who complains about all these little holes and that doesn't make sense and this doesn't make sense. Like, you're absolutely right.
Well, I say I blame George. Don't write such a great story, and I won't care so much.
Yeah,
you know
write
what I'm
mediocre
saying?
stuff from now on.
God.
Jeez.
And now, Holly, we mentioned, we get a little bit of Vader, and he expresses the importance of the one individual being Luke. What do you think we're gonna see from him, or what's gonna be Vader's thought process now? He just cut his son's hand off. He just left his son with, like, earth-shattering information. What's his thought process now? Is he immediately thinking, I've planted the seed, now what?
Yeah. I think that his thought process is, I've dropped this bomb on my child who didn't know this existed. I think that he has a lot of power that he could use to further the agenda of the dark side.
Yeah.
And so I am going to give him this information, let him struggle with it a little bit, let him feel isolated from the people that he has been surrounded by, and then have him come crawling back to me, because I am his only, at that time, I think I am his only remaining family.
Do you think he was thinking like Palpatine
I think that
in The Rise of Skywalker?
I mean,
You'll come to me.
yeah.
I'm all you have.
I mean, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting to kind of think about that and how The Rise of Skywalker ended. And yeah, is he thinking that, I mean, he tells the Emperor. I think the only reason the Emperor even, considers, not destroying this individual is because Vader's just like, we can turn him. He's like, oh, yeah. We could. He could be a powerful ally. And it's just like, is Anakin foreseeing the future of father and son saving the galaxy? No?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. We're going to find out. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah?
We're going to find out.
We'll see. I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
But, because I think, in my opinion, I think that Palpatine has always been one step ahead.
Yeah.
And so I think that Palpatine probably foresaw this
Yeah.
happening, but already had a plan, like a contingency plan in place for
Yeah.
probably every scenario that possibly could have played out,
Yeah.
actually. Because I think that he recognizes that some things are unpredictable, but
Yeah, thinking about it now, that I mean, they may be saving more of Vader's thoughts and stuff for another Vader comic, or some of these streaming shows that they're gonna do. There's potential for that. Definitely in the Obi-Wan series, if they're gonna have Obi-Wan. I mean, I don't know.
well, but also, I don't know. If you think, like, kind of what you said back to how Vader was like, oh, but he will come back and he'll be a powerful asset. And
Yeah.
Palpatine was just like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Could have been more like Palpatine being like, okay,
I've foreseen this.
we'll go ahead and we'll do it your way.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, to get him there. Yeah, to let him, to bring his son in, and yeah, no, that's
Who
exactly.
do you trust?
He did it with Rey and Ben as well. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I don't know. This we're getting into my favorite parts of Star Wars, and with 5 and 6, that little space of time. I don't know. The potential is great, because Luke thinks he's a Jedi at this point. He's showing some mad skills there on the barge. Luke, am I right? I mean, he's got a wicked kick. I mean, he's been training. He's got the lightsaber now, so who knows what to expect. But I'm excited to kind of see what's to come. I don't know how many issues we're going to have. Are we going to get into the 60s like we did, I think, with the last run? We'll see. But what else? Any other thoughts, Holly, about the comic?
I think that covered a lot of the big things that stood out to me.
And you're enjoying the comics.
I actually am.
A lot.
Yeah,
aren't ya?
I never used to be into comics. I was like, it's all right. Like, I could do with or without them. But, like, I don't know. I'm really enjoying these.
Luke, I mean, you were also not, the biggest of comic fans before. Never got into it too much. Are you enjoying these little side quests?
Definitely, it's wild how we just turned one issue of a comic, which really doesn't cover that much ground, in one issue, into this like 45-minute discussion, which is really great. So I'm definitely getting a lot more into the comics. I'm like near the halfway point on the first main line.
Yeah.
And kind of working my way through that. And as deep as we could go with a lot of the stuff in this issue.
Yeah.
Eventually you get to points in those lines where they're just kind of fun, silly stories, adventures that the characters go through that don't tie in as much as this one did with the larger Skywalker saga canon. So it's not going to be like this, if they go 70 issues, 1 through 70.
Yeah.
You like anything, you take your little side detours and your side adventures, and then it'll get back to some of this really great heavy stuff. So that's why you got to kind of stick around and go through to get all those bits.
Absolutely. And I mean, one issue of this beats 4 issues of Allegiance. I mean, goodness. Some of that stuff was okay, but man, that was tough to read at times. So yeah, but like this is what I love most about Star Wars, is Luke, his struggles, and this is some of my favorite Star Wars. So I'm really interested to see what else I'm going to learn about it, because I love it just for what it is. 5 and 6. I mean, 4, 5, and 6, obviously, but gosh, to learn that your father is one of the most hated villains in the galaxy. I just can't even imagine what that would do to you, and you decide to save him. It's bananas. It's bananas in pajamas, and I love it. It's what keeps me coming back every time to Star Wars. But What else? Holly, you're doing a Clone Wars watch,
Yeah.
a rewatch for me.
I was gonna bring that up
Come on.
because I know you guys both, and probably
Yeah.
literally 100% of
Everybody
everyone
listening.
who's listening.
Yup. Uh-huh.
I am just really late to the Star Wars game. It's fine. But
It's okay.
I've really been enjoying the Clone Wars. You know,
Yeah.
my only experience of the Clone Wars before has been just the kids that I used to babysit would watch it all the time, and it was
Yeah.
on the Disney Channel, and so I would get sucked into it. But I mean, the episodes were played so sporadically. I had no idea what was going on.
No idea.
I had no idea.
No.
So I'm really enjoying this. We're watching them chronologically,
Yes, and
so
that's
we're skipping around.
We are, but let me tell you, you weren't alone in being confused. Just in the few episodes you saw, I saw all 6 seasons, and I was confused at times because this thing jumps around like crazy. And when they came out with the chronological order, Luke did his rewatch. He said, "You gotta watch it in chronological order. It changes everything." And damn it, Luke, you were right, my friend. I mean, even though
I'm
I
a
started out,
chronological order
what's that?
evangelist.
You are, my
I'm a
friend.
chronological order evangelist for the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Because I was like, "Are we really starting out with episode 16 of season 2?" I guess we are, but damn it, the first few episodes in the movie are on Christophsis and stuff, so it makes so much more sense. So I am looking forward to watching it, with just open eyes and knowing more so what's going on.
Yeah, and this way you've already seen them, so when I talk through
Yeah.
the entire episode, you're not
Well,
missing anything.
Yeah. No, and sometimes I'm missing some stuff but yeah.
Luke, did you see when the Clone Wars animated movie came out in theaters? Did you see it in theaters?
Oh yeah, you did.
You did.
Yes, I did see it in the theater.
And he was just as confused as I.
But I went and saw it in the theater with several friends from college, but then I didn't pick up the series as soon as it started airing on TV,
Yeah.
and I don't even know if I was paying enough attention to know that it was on.
Yeah.
And eventually I got wind of it, that its existence as a series, and that it was on Netflix. But then it even took me a little while. It was available on Netflix for a while before I then jumped on it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had to start with it. So it took a little while to hook me, but then it hooks you, and it hooks you real deep.
It does.
But I think I mentioned this on one of our prior episodes way back. I was really hoping they would put some sort of feature in Disney Plus that would let you filter the menu screen for Clone Wars to the chronological order, so you wouldn't have to jump the seasons around in the way that they're released, by the actual episode order for the seasons. I don't know if I need to write a letter to Bob Iger at this point to suggest that
Missed
how we
opportunity.
get that in there, but it is. It's so fantastic to watch the series now, and I would say for anybody who's never done it and they want to go back and watch it, go do a chronological order. And it's really key for the first, I think, three and a half seasons.
Yeah.
Is where they're the most jumbled, I think, and then kind of season 4 through 6 are fairly linear and they don't jump around as much. But definitely for those first few seasons, it's kind of all over the place, and it is way more enjoyable to me. And you get all the connections that they do through those episodes that got jumbled. You get those connections so much better when you see it in the proper order. So
Absolutely.
I can talk about this all the time. And
We should do.
Yeah.
We should just do a Clone Wars episode then.
I mean, you probably have to do batches, but a little recap. Yeah, because
Like season 1, season 2.
I think that would be so that's when it gets difficult.
Oh,
if you're
well,
doing it
yeah, because if we're
chronological.
doing it, if we're jumping around.
Yeah.
Shoot.
They didn't make
Well,
it easy on us. Just do it chronologically the first time. But
yeah.
and for those of you that don't understand or are not even aware, maybe you did watch the Clone Wars and its released order. Star Wars .com released a list of chronological episodes and how they chronologically can be viewed, and they'll make a little more sense, and it's the best thing that's happened to Clone Wars, because it is very confusing, and you may have found yourself confused as well with all the jumping around. So do yourself a favor and just Google Clone Wars chronological order, and it'll be the first
Yeah,
item
Star
that pops
Wars
up.
actually came
Yep.
out with a list where they tell you it's like you watch 2 like you start out with 2 episodes in season 2, then you go
Yep.
to the movies.
Watch the film, yep. And then from that point, it kind of jumps a little bit, but Luke said it kind of evens out once you get to season 3.
Yeah, and I mean, so far it's been fantastic. I've been engaged the entire time.
Mhm.
I think that I've had a lot to say. Maybe we should do a Clone Wars commentary for the Patreon because
Yeah.
I
Yes. That could just be you alone.
never stop talking.
There could be no one else on the other end, and you will talk about it.
But I don't know. I'm really enjoying it, so I'm really glad that I'm getting into it. I'm really glad that we have Disney Plus because
Yes.
I feel like it's given me a lot more insight
Yeah.
into other things that have been happening in Star Wars
Come
or
on.
have happened.
The world
in
is
Star Wars.
opening.
The galaxy is large.
It's huge.
There's
and
a lot to learn.
That's right. And we were not one of those people that canceled our Disney Plus subscriptions once The Mandalorian stopped airing. So
I mean, you have to watch Camp Rock a couple times a year, so
yes. Is that why I saw it so much on your history?
no.
Would you like to watch Camp Rock for the 30th time in a row?
The answer is yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Please hit it. Hit the Camp Rock music. I don't even know what Camp Rock is.
It's like Jonas Brothers. And,
Oh,
okay, anyway.
Jesus. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've been enjoying the Clone Wars.
hot.
Uh-huh.
You're cool. Yeah, sorry.
That was pretty good.
You're welcome.
Joe Jonas, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
me. Well, he's not the coolest one. Nick's the coolest one.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, Luke's like, what the hell is happening to the podcast? Yeah, so we're enjoying the Clone Wars. I hope you guys are too, because we have supposedly till mid-February. Star Wars Newsnet is saying the 17th. Holly's not believing it yet, but that's the rumor right now, that February 17th we are getting Season 7 of the Clone Wars. And with what we know now in The Mandalorian, I mean, this is going to be an epic conclusion with the Siege of Mandalorian. Who knows what else we're going to be seeing. Ahsoka's going to be back. We're going to be seeing a lot of Mandalorians, Anakin, Obi-Wan, all of our heroes. It's going to be awesome. Maul. It's going to be cool. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen. So we'll be talking about it in a month, a little over a month. So anything else here from the team?
I don't think so. Just buy your copy of Phasma if you haven't read it already.
Yes.
Get reading that.
That's
a couple
right.
weeks until we start talking about it.
That's right. And it sounds like Luke's going to be participating as well.
That is awesome.
That's right. Luke, anything else? Any parting words?
I'm just thinking the other letter writing campaign I might have to start is to get Caravan of Courage and Battle for Endor on Disney Plus.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah, why not? Maybe that wasn't part of the
But,
Fox
I
acquisition.
did. It kind of came as news to me recently that my brother had never seen it. So when he was in town
Ooh.
for the Christmas holiday, we watched it and had a great time with that. Caravan of Courage. I'm saving Battle for Endor for next Christmas. So we watched the holiday special on YouTube, which neither of us had ever seen last Christmas. We did Caravan of Courage this Christmas, and I said we'll do Battle of Endor
Yeah.
next Christmas. So
The
that's
elder
plan
family
there.
tradition.
I have to pull out my DVDs because
Yes.
not yet.
Add that to your letter, Bob. Listen, if you're listening right now, these are things that we as Star Wars fans need.
We demand.
We need
deserve
that access. Yeah, we deserve this. I'm glad he brought up the holiday special because Holly, you still need to see that.
I still haven't.
If you want to do the best commentary that you can do, it will be for the holiday special. So we will be sure to do that. I'm going to say that it's going to be a Patreon exclusive thing right off the bat because that thing is trippy and we're going to have, a good amount of beverages consumed to get through it.
Good thing Luke got us that beer.
That's right. Yeah, the tall Rhine guys. I cannot wait. Still chilling in my fridge, Luke. I'm waiting for the right moment. And
Which
it may
would
just
be him being in studio.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Still going to make it happen. Still going to find some childcare for Luke to come in studio and get him on the podcast. But yeah, so expect more, guys, from the Patreon with some exclusive stuff. That book club is starting. I know Holly's about to pick up Phasma, so you should as well. And get in there, join that Patreon if you can. If you can help us out and throw a donation at us, we totally appreciate that. And like I said, if not, no worries. Just enjoy the podcast and keep doing what you're doing. But get in that Facebook group. Now, that is free access there, and that thing is hot. I know I say it every week, but I cannot get over how much conversation is going on in there, how much respectful conversation. Those guys find a way to keep it nice and chill, but, man, it's sweaty, and they're throwing references. I'm like, guys, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm just going to stay out of it because I don't know what you're saying, but I'll learn it. But they're so much fun, and everyone in there is fantastic. You know, people buying some Flying Casual swag and showcasing it. It's freaking awesome.
Putting the stickers on their cars.
Getting the
That's
stickers.
awesome.
Get out of here. This stuff, it's blowing my mind. To see you
love
guys
it.
doing that it just means the world. So get in that group. It's a lot of fun. Facebook turned off my notifications, so I don't even know when stuff's happening anymore. They're like, there's too much. We're not even going to bother notifying you anymore.
You guys broke the Facebook.
Broke the Facebook, broke the internet. But, yeah, get in there. You know, check us out on Instagram and stuff. Holly's always posting really hysterical videos of me being an idiot and the dog being adorable, so check those out as well. And send us an email. You know, we're getting into some deep, sweaty stuff about Mandalore and all this good stuff. So send us an email. You know, send us a voicemail. Whatever you got to do, I want to get people's, you know, get the word out, but what you have to say. And that's going to be, you know, our Patreon guys here soon. So we're going to get a date set and be doing a special podcast with them on their topic of choice. So expect that shortly. But I mean, I didn't think we could do it, but we did.
It can be done.
We went over an hour. I cannot believe it. One comic book. That's fantastic. Luke, thanks so much, buddy, for joining us. Holly, a pleasure as always. And friends, keep flying casually. May the force be with you. See ya.